Hey guys, it's Fire Princess, and we're back with Seduce Me Part 8. So I kind of left you guys at a cliffhanger last time, and that was not okay, but I'm kind of a dick, so I like to do stuff like that. But anyway, we're gonna go ahead and jump right into this, mostly because I do have another recording I gotta do in a few hours, and that's gonna be oh so fun. Mwah. Okay, anyway, let's go. Diana smiled before gesturing to the door.
Have a nice week off. School will resume next week.
Nay. Many of the students filed out, chatting to each other about the new and important plans. Suzu was beyond happy, but Naomi was hesitant. Before we could pack up and leave, however, Diana stepped to us.
Excuse me, little miss. I'd like you to stay a little while. There's something we need to discuss.
I don't want to talk to you. You're kind of rude. As Diana looked to Suzu and Naomi, she snapped her fingers, making my friends tense up.
You two can head home. Don't worry about your friend until next week, okay? If you contact her, she won't reply, so don't bother. If she contacts you, ignore her, because she's just fine.
As if on command, Suzu and Naomi left the room. I tried to march after them, but Diana stepped in my path, warning me with her eyes that if I followed, there would be hell to pay. I had lost my two friends for at least for the week. Diana and I were alone, just like she wanted. I slammed my hands on the desk in front of me and glared at Diana. What are you doing and what are you thinking?
What? Do I not make a good teacher? I figured you should have a little lesson, so I took matters into my own hands.
No, I don't care about your lessons. You're a terrible teacher and you don't look nice. Whatever you're trying to do won't work.
You really think so, dear? And what makes you so sure about that?
What was making me so sure? Why was I confident? Were the boys worth this? My thoughts began to fill with doubt. All the uncertainties about this whole ordeal began to cloud my mind. If the boys were ever found out, there'd be hell to pay. Was it worth it? What about Diana? What would she do to me? Would she make my parents forget about me completely? Would she ruin my friends' lives out of spite? In my gut, I felt a stone of confidence try to fight back, but the heaviness of my thoughts began to dissolve that stone, little by little. What was going on with me? I looked up to Diana once again to see her gaze boring into my eyes. Was she using her powers on me? This time, I was away from home, so I couldn't escape. Or could I? Did I want to? The way she stared at me made me feel warm and fuzzy inside my chest. I felt like melting. Diana lifted a hand under my chin and ran her thumb over my lips, licking her own. I could feel the little shots of energy zapping through under my skin into my chin where she held me.
Now, let's have a little taste of that sweet, virginal sexual energy.
I watched as she leaned in, ready to kiss me and take my energy. Half of my body felt election at the idea, the other half completely rejected it and didn't want her to even touch me. James. Suddenly, Diana stopped in her tracks.
James? Who is...
Then it dawned on her.
Ah, one of the boys. Why don't you tell me which boy is James?
I felt my soft nod in compliance. The oldest. Diana giggled in reply before letting go of my face and stepping back.
Really? The eldest son with you?
I nodded once again, but this time was partly my own decision to reply. Diana let out a sound that mimicked a cat's purr before stepping away from me.
All right, then. Well, if it's the eldest son you're infatuated with, you should really rethink your romantic options.
Diana chuckled before kissing my nose, where I felt a shot of energy zap out of my body, almost making me dizzy and recoil. Diana then turned to the desk and sat on the wood, crossing her legs.
You can go now. Remember, no class for the rest of the week.
And how am I supposed to get home? My two friends left me here thanks to you.
Oh, were they your ride?
Diana then lifted her hand and snapped her fingers. I suddenly felt the floor sink from underneath me, forcing me to look down. A purple pentagram surrounded my feet, pulling me into the ground. Whoa! Before I could fight, however, I sank fully into the floor, fading into darkness and shutting my eyes. As I opened them, I felt my silk sheets around me, soothing my anxiety from the darkness that had previously surrounded me. What the... Why did Diana bring me home? Was this an illusion? Was I being tricked? Something was going on. I sat up in bed, looking around me. I was indeed in my room. There was no mistake about that. Why? Diana is too strange. Was this a game? Was this part of her plan to get the boys back? I was lost and confused more than ever, despite my logical thought about trying to piece the puzzle that is Diana together. The more I tried to solve her, the less I understood about the situation I was in. I was interrupted, however, by my door suddenly opening, revealing the boys with Damien's hand on the doorknob.
Miss, what are you doing here?
I don't know, James. What am I doing here?
Aren't you supposed to be in school?
Nay. I furrowed my eyebrows and stared at Damien, asking him to answer their question through my thoughts.
Diana sent her back here. She invaded her school and sent all the students back home.
What is that bitch up to? Seriously! Diana's playing around for no reason.
Duh.
Maybe it's part of her plan.
The boys continued to argue back and forth about Diana, fueling an almost jealous curiosity in me. Damien seemed to be too deep within the talking to notice my thoughts, for he didn't even stop talking alongside his brothers. Why was Diana after them? Why did she want to bring them back? What was so important about the boys that she had to travel to the human world to get them? What was going on? I decided enough was enough. I needed answers. Hey! The boys stopped arguing, turning at me in surprise. I held my hand and fists on my lap, mustering the courage to continue to speak despite my abrupt shout. Why is Diana here? Why does she want to bring you all back? What exactly did you all run from? Why did you run from it?
Miss,
Don't miss me, please. I need to know what is going on. I won't be left in the dark about this. I want to know what I'm facing. The boys looked at each other almost hesitantly, unsure of what to reply. Finally, Sam pushed Damien towards the bed, making him buckle and land on his knees with his torso over the edge of the mattress.
Damien, do the thing.
Do the thing. I love how that's what they say it. The thing. The thing? What thing? My thoughts exactly.
Sam, you're not suggesting. Why not? She deserves to know everything, especially if Diana is targeting her.
Sam's right. I guess we have no choice then.
I was getting confused. What was Damien about to do? Damien stood before climbing onto the bed with me, sitting across from me on his knees.
We're going to show you everything. You have to trust me, okay? The minute you stop trusting me, the vision will stop.
Vision?
Please, just trust him.
I looked to James, unsure what was going on, but I nodded. If this was the only way to learn, then this was my chance to know. Damien gently placed his hands on each side of my head, gently pressing his thumbs into the skin above my eyebrows. I could only stare at Damien as his eyes began to glow gold and energy began to be pulled out of me and forced into my head. Within seconds, my vision went to black once again. I was unsure of what Damien was doing, but soon shapes and textures slowly began to appear around me. I found myself sitting on the stone floor in the middle of what looked like a fancy throne room. Where am I? I looked down at myself only to see my body as translucent as a ghost. Whoa! I jumped up and inspected my hands in a sudden panic. I was see-through? Why? What was going on?
How dare they try to negotiate with me?
Cover the
Do
speaker.
they not know whom they speak to?
I gasped and ran behind a nearby pillar away from the voice. The sound of his anger and words frightened every bone in my body, turning me into a frightened child.
My lord, please calm yourself. Calm? You're merely testing my resolve. I have more than half of a mind to send my greatest armies to take what should be mine.
mere insects in the way of my kingdom's expansion.
They merely asked for a marriage joining.
So I'm to bow to them and share my land that I have so rightfully conquered?
I peeked from behind the pillar to see a large demon covered in royal clothes, but buff enough to be a military commander. His rage practically imitated from his body as he growled at his servant.
They are willing to give their land to you, sire. All they ask is for one of your sons to marry their daughter, whom I might add is as beautiful as can be.
As beautiful as can be?
This is ridiculous. To suggest that I need their approval to take their land is beyond insanity. What makes them think I care about their precious daughter?
Did I mention that she is a prodigy of her kind, sire?
A prodigy?
He looks so old, but he sounds so young.
Yes, my lord. This succubus is a master of her skills in magic and mind manipulation. She is said to sway armies with a snap of her fingers, despite being as young as she is.
How old is young for a succubus?
Impossible!
If only it were, sire. This succubus is dangerous, but would be a great asset to have should we agree to this arrangement. The only reason she cannot face you, my lord, is because you are the strongest demon in the plains.
Is this supposed to change my mind?
That is the look of someone who no longer cares.
Yes, my lord.
You are doing a terrible job at convincing me.
My apologies, sire.
I was lost. I could tell they were talking about Diana. But why?
Father.
Oh! I quickly turned my head to see another demon who looked like a mere child staring at the demon commander on the throne. Father?
Raystrow, have you finished your training?
Yes, Father.
Then what do you want?
I want to be with my brothers the rest of the day, Father.
The demon commander walked to the young demon and gripped his hair, picking him off the ground and forcing him to look up at his snarl. The young demon, however, looked unfazed.
Arrogance. Why should I allow you to be with them? I should kill you for your lack of respect to me.
Because I want to be with them, Father.
I could only stare as the young demon faced his father, despite the massive difference between them. This young demon seemed weaker and easier to kill versus the demon commander. Why would this man kill his son, though? Was this commander that ruthless? However, I wasn't expecting him to laugh and release the young demon.
Good! Assertive even in the face of danger. That is why you are my favorite son.
He sounds so weird. I could only stare wide-eyed as the commander placed his hand on the demon's shoulder.
Very well. Go. Tomorrow, you will show me your training.
The little demon grinned widely before running off.
I have a thought.
Yes, my lord.
How old is this daughter?
As old as your fifth, sire.
Do you believe this proposal is worth it?
Yes, sire.
Tell those insects that they are safe for now. I will consider their offer.
Sire, are you certain?
Did I stutter? Now go!
The demon servant quickly ran off, but as soon as he passed the pillar I was hiding behind, he along with the commander vanished into thin air. What had happened? I didn't get time to try to figure out before a demon who looked around my age walked into the room reading a book. Is that...
Raystrow, your nose is stuck in those books. Will you not lift your head up from them once in a while?
Huh? That voice. I circled around the pillar to see a second demon, leaning against another pillar and smirking at Raystrow.
Aren't you supposed to be with your mother practicing the harpsichord? I am, but I had a feeling that you were in danger. In danger? What are you...
Attack!
All of a sudden, 3 shadows zipped through the room and slammed into Raestro, forcing him to fall to the ground and drop his book. As the sight cleared for me, there were 3 other demons in a dog pile with Raestro at the bottom.
Get up! No way! You haven't had a break in months from those stupid butts. It's time for punishment!
Death by brotherhood! No more reading!
I told you that you were in danger.
I suddenly knew who those demons were. It's the boys. Even in the demon world, their brotherly connection was astounding. They were merely younger versions of themselves. One of the demons, who I assumed was Matthew, grabbed the book from the floor and opened it, reading it mockingly.
How can you read this, Raestro? It's all about war strategy. It's boring.
I have to, Zakaru. Get up!
They sound so weird as children.
There's only one thing you need to know about strategy. Kill him.
You sound just like Father.
I couldn't help but giggle. It was cute to see them acting childish with each other. Eventually, James managed to push his brothers off of him and stand, brushing himself off.
You all are reckless. At least we have fun.
It's true. You haven't been with us in weeks. Don't you think it's time for a break?
I'm sure Father won't mind.
But I have to... I know you want to, Raestro. Damn it.
What is going on here?
Oh shit! I shot my head to the voice to see the commander, aged a little, staring at the boys with his arms across his chest. Damien quickly dashed and hid behind Sam, peeking over his shoulder to see the large commander.
Nothing is going on. We just passed by each other.
Then why does your brother have your book?
'Cause
I was showing him what I was learning, Father.
Return to your studies, Raestro. The rest of you out of my sight. Do not disturb your brother again.
I could only stare as James gently took his book, and without looking at his brothers, returned to reading. The commander walked past the remaining brothers, growling at Sam and Damien before leaving the room. What was up with that?
Don't worry about it. We'll find a way to get him back.
I don't know. He's on a very tight leash.
Ezreal, you're quiet. What did you hear? He's going to a negotiation meeting. He's going to arrange a marriage.
A marriage? For who?
It must be for one of us.
He hasn't decided who will marry her. It's a girl from a kingdom he wants to take over.
But that's uncharacteristic of him. Usually he'd just attack with the army.
Well, yeah, he would, but, things happen, boys.
Whatever the case is, one of us is getting married.
I hope it isn't me. What about Raestro? He's the eldest.
Damien sounds so cute!
It would make sense, but having a succubus marrying one of us means that she'll be practically married to all of us.
Well, what should we do?
Before the conversation could continue, the boys vanished into thin air, fading into different colored mists. They were replaced by an older Damien and Matthew, sitting with each other in the middle of the throne room.
Do you think we should?
I really want to.
I want to as well. Still, it'll be hard to convince Raestro, since he's the one about to be married, and he's the favorite.
We don't know that, Zakaru. Maybe she's set to marry you.
Oh my god, that look on his face. When he says it that way and the look on his face, it's fucking great.
No way! I don't want to get married.
I don't think you'll have a problem with that baby face of yours.
I looked over to see Sam join the duo, crossing his arms and raising an eyebrow at his brothers.
What are you two talking about?
His face.
We got into contact with the human world again.
Come on, Ezreal. Give humans too much attention.
Are they not wearing pants? That's what I want to know. Are they wearing pants? Or is it just, shadowed out? Because that'd be great.
No way, you gotta listen. They apparently have stores and books and schools and stuff.
So what? It's full of humans who piss on each other for no reason. They're no better than the devil spawn.
This is true.
Nuh-uh, the one we were talking to wasn't like that.
How do you know, Sakeru? Because I do! What is going on here?
Oh! James! Daddy. I'm kidding, ignore me.
They want to go to the human world.
The human world?
I'd give you that look too.
Restro, think about it. You won't have to marry that girl and be the heir anymore. You could be with us, and we can make lives for ourselves in the new world.
They sound like, the colonists when they, got off from Britain. Got off, that sounds bad out of context. When they got away from, Britain and stuff.
Now you're just talking nonsense.
No, I'm not.
I vote that we do it.
Of course you do, Eric. There's plenty of girls there.
Huh? Oh, not you two.
Why are you so against it, Sam?
Think about it. This may be our chance to finally get away from this political nonsense we're stuck in. We may be nobles, but we're still our own beings.
Preach. James is so uncertain about it, but damn.
Restro is in.
Ah, Damien.
What? Azrael?
Whoa, so how do we get there?
Are you kidding me? You don't even know how we'd get there.
A simple spell should work, but it would require someone from the human world to help us get there.
We can ask him.
Oh, he'd definitely help us. I'm not so sure about...
Restro, aren't you tired of pleasing Father all of the time?
I am, but...
If you stay, you'll be married off and become ruler of Father's kingdom. You'll have no time for yourself or with us, and you'll be constantly at war with the other realms for power. You'll most likely turn into the spitting image of Father.
Ooh, no one wants to be like their dad.
What he's saying is, get your head out of your ass and let's go. If you don't say yes, I'll drag your princely ass with us. I don't care what that bastard of a father wants.
You were the one against it, Sam. Why are you suddenly all for it?
Come on, Restro.
All right, let's do this. What's the plan?
I couldn't believe what was happening. I was seeing the history of their lives before my eyes. They were nobles, and James was the heir to the kingdom of the commander from... was the heir to the kingdom the commander ruled. Even more so, he was going to be married to Diana. They sacrificed everything to leave and be together. They'd rather be free than remain as their noble roles. I started to feel a little jealous. They were able to leave while I was expected to be what my father wanted to be. How were they able to leave was uncertain, but I still knew I would learn in time. I closed my eyes and mentally asked Damien to end the vision. As soon as I asked, the world around me slowly vanished, and I was brought back to the bedroom where I sat, my head nestled in Damien's hands. My vision began to clear, letting me fully see the boys around me, all with concerned faces.
So, you now know exactly who we are.
Diana's the girl you were arranged to marry?
Not anymore. Once we left, the arrangement was broken. With no sons to marry off, her dad couldn't go through with the marriage deal.
If Diana is here for us, that means she's trying to save her kingdom from being attacked.
That's not true. She wants to rule our kingdom. Having one of us will give her the right to our kingdom, as much as we'd have right over hers.
So she's a gold digger.
Pretty much, Matthew.
Well, with a kingdom like ours, what succubus wouldn't want to marry us for it?
It all made sense. She wanted them so that she could finally take over an opposing kingdom. She knew that, despite her powers, she wouldn't be able to fight against their father, so she had to find another way in. That manipulative... Before I could continue, I felt my head suddenly get heavy and dizzy. I gripped my head, mewling under my breath. What the...
I took too much. I'm so sorry.
Rest now. There's no need to do anything more today.
The boys suddenly rushed over and helped me lay back as my vision was painted with white polka dots. I needed sleep badly. Instantly, I closed my eyes and let darkness consume me. After what seemed like hours, I finally woke up, slightly refreshed. My body knew that if I slept any longer, I'd be up all night, which was not part of the plan for the day. I rubbed my eyes and sat up, letting a soft groan escape my lips. In response, something beside my bed shuffled, causing me to look over. I did not know what I was expecting. Beside me, sitting in a chair beside the bed, was James, rustling himself to see me awake. I smiled at him, seeing his slightly ruffled hair and tired eyes. Oh my God, I am so sorry.
Oh, you're awake. Good. Oh, how do you feel?
Oh my God, that yawn was cute. We're fine. James nodded before he gently reached over and ran his hand through my hair, examining my face with soft sadness.
I'm sorry this is all happening to you. I really wish there was something I could do to fix all of this.
James, it's not your fault.
No, if we never came, then you'd never be targeted by either Malix or Diana.
Yeah, but then I wouldn't get to meet you, and then that would not be fun either, so you know. I quickly reached over and put my finger on his lips, stopping him from getting any further. I didn't want to hear anymore. James, it's okay. I wanted to help you out. I offered to let you all stay. Nothing is your fault. I gently moved my hand and cut James' cheek, staring at him with concern. I didn't want him to hold guilt in his mind about this whole ordeal. Diana was desperate, and she'd hunt anyone for it. It wasn't his fault she was desperate enough to hunt them down. However, I was curious. So, James, you're a demon prince? James then twirled a strand of hair around in his finger, staring at it.
Yes, I am. I was.
Oh, he sounds so miserable. Was?
I was a demon prince when I lived in the Abyssal Plains. I didn't enjoy a single minute of being the heir. The only moments I truly enjoyed were when I was with my brothers. Thus, I left with them to come here.
What was it like when you were there?
Well, other than consistent studying and training to be a resilient leader and all-around ruthless lord, it was bland. I never truly knew what freedom was until I was excused from my sessions.
James looked at me with a thoughtful look on his face. I smiled back, wondering what was going through his mind. He then smiled before taking off his glasses and placing them on me. I was surprised, but instead of seeing him, I saw dark gold and purple magic swirl in front of my eyes through the glasses. The vision cleared and I was suddenly back in the demon castle. I looked around, feeling stuck in the place, but my eyes hesitantly landed on a demon version of James. He was sitting on the throne in the main hall, reading over a book with an intense expression. It was kind of cute to see, but he read in silence.
You'll wear out your eyes if you read too much.
James looked up from his book to see a figure materialize in front of him. It was an older woman with a black coat and red and aged horns. I could see she had powers, though it gave me shivers to look at her.
Sirona, what are you doing here? Shouldn't you be at the Lord gathering with my father?
I should, yes. But I had to stop by and see the Demon Lord's favorite son before I head in.
You sound weird.
I'm honored. However, I must apologize and return to my reading.
Of course. Wouldn't want to make the Demon Lord angry now, would you?
I could see James' eyes twitch at a bit of her comment. However, James simply bowed his head and went back to his book in silence. Sirona shook her head and let out a chuckle.
What will you do when you become the Demon Lord? It's such a big responsibility.
James looked up once again, confused at the question. Sirona simply smiled and began to walk away.
Think about that.
James and I watched her walk away, both of us with the same surprised and confused expression. I looked back to James to see him press his lips together and stare at the floor. Anyone could tell that he was lost, unsure of how to even answer that to himself. It was strange to see him in a form of weakness, jostled by a simple question that was more than it appeared. James closed his eyes and closed the book on his lap. It was then that I noticed the tired circles under his eyes. He'd been working himself to the bone with his training and reading. When was the last time he slept? I could feel James in the real world gently slide the glasses from my face and place them back on his. It took me a second to recenter my vision, but then I looked to James, who smiled at me.
It was then that I decided to find my brothers. Little did I know that they were wanting me to come on a trip that would make me leave my entire realm to be in a new world.
I stared up at him, surprised, before bringing my hand gently back to his cheek and running a thumb softly under his eye. He looked healthier and a lot less tired than when I saw him in the vision. Something about that made me happy. James gently leaned into my hand, closing his eyes and relaxing. Then he simply smiled, trying to joke.
So, how does it feel to hold the affections of an ex-demon prince?
I stared, feeling my cheeks grow red in surprise and embarrassment, but I smiled and giggled slightly, running my thumb back and forth along his cheek gently. I'd have to say, I'm flattered to think you ran away from that life. James frowned, making me stop moving my thumb as he stared at me.
I can promise you, that was no life to live.
Alright, you guys, so that's where we're going to end this episode. So, another cliffhanger, and I am sorry. I do not mean to do this to y'all, but I do because it's fun. Alright, expect this to be uploaded here shortly, as well as, just new. So, have fun. Talk to you guys later. Bye!